Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the seventh session on Java Database Connectivity, JDBC. Here we'll be focusing more on the JDBC processes and how do we process the results written by the DBMS software based on the query that we have executed. So usually the five-step process. The first one is loading the JDBC driver or registering the driver class. Next one is creating a connection using driver manager.getConnection method. Third one is creating the statement objects. It can be a statement or a prepared statement or a callable statement. Then followed by, and the fourth step is executing the query and processing the results. For executing the query, there are three built-in functions. One is execute, execute query, and execute update that we discussed in one of the previous sessions. Followed by, and the last one is closing the connection. Among that, now we're at the fourth step. How do you execute and how do you process the results? The execution part we have completed, and how do you process the results? So that is the major concept here. As an outcome of your query, so most of the cases, the select queries, it returns the virtual table in the form of a result set object. So always the response from the DBMS, it will be in the form of a result set object. That result set object will have a virtual table inside it that consists of the table or a sub-table or a full table or whatever, that depends on the query that you have written. So in order to access in order to refer to each of these variables and tuples as a result of your DBMS, you should have a mechanism to refer to the each individual attribute, and you should have an indexing for referring to the each individual rows. Of course, rows can be accessed using next method, one after the other. You can access the rows, but how do you select the attributes? That's the point to be considered here. For this virtual table, a lot of virtual pointers are defined. There will be one virtual pointer, and that virtual pointer can be navigated, or what we can call it as you can seek that virtual pointer to the appropriate attribute and a tuple based on the library functions that you used. Based on your requirement, you can move that virtual pointer in order to access the appropriate rows and columns of the result set object virtual table that you have obtained as an outcome of your DBMS. So result set object comes with a lot of library functions in order to manipulate the results. I mean, in order to access and refer to each of the instances of the result generated by the DBMS, and these library functions will be exploring in detail one by one in order to process the results. So share the screen and I will continue with the result set object processing. So here it is jQuery can process the results. So now to process the results, we have two things. One is step through the results, go through the results one after the other, and assign the results to the Java variables. From the Java variables, if you need any manipulation or processing, so you can do so by using the couple of variables that are included in the technical issue. So using those variables, you can manipulate and you can use the variables as a part of the program logic, or what we call it as a business logic, in order to complete your solution. Next, okay, processing the results. Okay. So processing the result set object. So result set, actually it is an object that consists of the results of executing a SQL query. SQL query will give the results after execution in the DBMS. DBMS will give the results, and those results will be communicated to the JDBC driver in the form of a result set object. And result set object, it will have a, of course, it has a virtual table and a virtual cursor in order to pointing to each of the rows and the columns of the data, and you should be able to refer to each of these things one after the other. There are a lot of built-in functions defined with respect to result set object. So result set result set object variable, say res, is a object of the class result set. Then using the res object, you can make a call to the next method that refers to the, after reading the data, that move on to the next row. Use the next function to step through the result set row by row. So in order to move to the next row, you can make a call to the next method. In the similar way, how we have a next method now, you have a previous function also. Previous library functions with the result set from the current row. Now, if you want to move on to the previous row, you can do so by using the previous and next, which makes your virtual cursor of the virtual table as a part of the result set object, and it moves a pointer, virtual pointer, forward by one position, and previous it moves the one position by backward. So that is the major difference between next and the previous. Like how we have a first and how we have a next and previous. In a similar way, you have a first built-in function which is used to access the first row of your result set object virtual table data, and the last built-in function which is used to access the last rows of your virtual table that is created as a part of the result set object. Please remember, result set object always, it won't come only with the data. It will come along. It will come with the data along with the metadata that is associated with it. Metadata associated with means information about the data. What is the type of the first variable, second variable, how much amount of data is stored, how many bytes is stored, and the format of the data, whether it is readable, whether it is a secure data. All that basic information will be stored as a part of the metadata. So result set maintains a cursor pointing to its current row of data, and the next method that we discussed. Okay. To retrieve the data from the columns, we can use the, okay, now we deal with the, now our job is to access rows and the columns. So your next, previous, first and last, these are the four built-in functions used in order to control or in order to navigate towards the each rows. Next, for the makes the virtual cursor forward by one position. Previous, it moves virtual cursor by one position backward. First returns the first row of your result set object, and the last returns the last row of your result set object. Next, in order to retrieve the data from the columns, we can use the getX method. Now, this we finished with the rows. Now, how to deal with the column? So your column can be accessed by using a getX method. GetX method means you should specify the type of those columns, whether it is a getInt or a getString or getFloat or and so on. And accordingly, you can use a getX method in order to extract each um, individual values. Individual values can be accessed by using the getX method. So that we'll see. In order to process the result set objects, always results are available in the result set object, which satisfies the condition. It's purely based on the condition that is satisfied with the database management software, and that gives the result. And if the data is stored in a result set object, is retrieved through a set of get methods or getX methods, allows to access to the various columns of the row, that is result set dot next previous. This is what we explained. And the general form of the result set is a table with the column headings and the corresponding values written by the query. If you look at this, assume that this is a virtual table that is written by the DBMS as a part of the result set object. So my values will be like this: USN, name, semester, and the marks. I have a five rows of data and four columns, five cross four matrix kind of data it is. And in this, initially the virtual pointer will be here. When the next method executes, it will be at the 0. When the next method executes, it will point to the first row. And from the when it is referring to the first row, you should be able to access the each individual columns. Maybe this is a number and this is a string using the getInt, getString, again getInt, getInt. So four values. So those four values can be read and can be printed to the console if it is required, or if you have any algorithm to make use of these values in order to press some sort of conditions, you can use all those four library functions. GetInt, getString, getInt, and getInt library functions can be used to extract each individual values, four values, and if you want to print it, and you can print it. Otherwise, if you want to manipulate the value, you can manipulate. Now, so once you are able to access the first row, and your virtual pointer will be like this. So initially it will be pointing to the first row and extract the four attribute values: getInt, getString, getInt, and getInt. After that, it will go to the second iteration of the while loop, that is rs.next. Once the rs.next executes for the second time, so virtual cursor will be pointing to second row, and again you try to extract the each of the attributes, that is a USN, name, semester, and a marks. And after that, again go to the third iteration of the loop, while loop, then which refers to the third row. And in the third row, if it is referring the third row, and access each of these columns, followed by again fourth row and a fifth row. And after that, your virtual pointer will be moving to the row that is beyond the virtual table that is created there. If no such data is there, then of course your while condition will become false. If there is a data of rs.next method, if data is there, the condition becomes true. If there is no data, condition becomes false. It will exit from the while loop. Okay. Okay. So as a example, processing the results will be like this. If your query is select column A, comma, column B, column C from a table 1, your result set will be having in the following form: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all these values. And if you know the data type of each of these, first one is a get int, and the second one is a get string, which is array of characters or a string it is. And the next one is there are a couple of decimal points. We can make use of the get long library functions in order to extract those values, and these are the library functions used as a part of the result set object, that is RS or RES. Next, as we told, string var is equal to rset dot get string of column name. You should either one more very important content to be highlighted here is either you can specify the name of the column exactly same as what you have used while creating a table, or you can use the numbers in order to refer to the respective columns. Here you can use a column name, maybe a USN, a name, a semester, and the marks also can be used in order to access each of the individual values of a current row. And if it is a string, you can use a get string of a column index, which means that instead of a column name, you can use a column index that is start from the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And the string name is equal to result set dot get string of name, then supervisor, result set dot get string of supervisor, convert both the things to the string. It is by default string only, and get it and store it in a variable name and supervisor, and give it to the next whatever algorithm or procedure that we are using. Next, how do we process the result? It's a continuation of it, which maintains a cursor which points to the current row of the data. As I told, result set rows can be retrieved in sequence from top to bottom. That's what I highlighted there. When a cursor is positioned on a row, a result set object that how becomes the current row. So among the 10 rows of your virtual table that is created, if a virtual table, virtual cursor, if a virtual cursor is referring to, say, 6th row, and if it is referring to the 6th row, and whatever the all possible attributes you want, you can extract those attributes using the getX methods. And cursor remains valid until the result set object or its parent statement object is closed. There is a very important thing, observation you are supposed to do always when you are dealing with the JDBC program. So before doing the JDBC program, what we should do is we should do this configuration. This configuration should be done like this: classes.jar. This is a very old technique. In the recent Eclipse versions, what you should do is there will be a jar file for all the library classes that are used for the interaction with the JDBC. So that can be class path that we have to set it here. Yeah. So class path variable you have to change if the things are applicable. Next, if you are using the Eclipse, so this is the one with respect to manual. In the Eclipse, so classes.jar file should be included as a part of your library. Java build path for each of the project, there is a Java build path. For that Java build path, you should specify that classes.jar file that is related to your JDBC, which is a very important step in a JDBC process. If you forget to include this, you will not be able to identify any of the library functions that you have used, and which leads to the SQL exceptions are generated, and it is very difficult to track it out the logical errors for these kind of activities. You must not forget at any point of time keeping the class.jar file as a part of the library for your Java build path. Here it goes the programming example of the how do you process the result sets. So now to process the result sets, so before this programming example continues, so we'll conclude here and then we'll take up the example, then followed by handling the null values, and that will be a last session of your module 4, that is JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. So we'll take this example in the next session. So this configuration, two things. One is we should edit the class path environmental variable, or we should include the classes.jar file as a part of your Eclipse in order to overcome the errors may generate due to the non-inclusion of the SQL package. So import SQL, import SQL.star, that we can access only once we specify this classes.jar file if you include in the project. If you don't include, then things may not be able to process properly. So the other content we'll take it in the last session. So here I conclude the session number 7, that is how do you process the results. Thank you.